Little Nas X, tragic fall, the price of summoned demons. Okay, he thought rebellion was just a custom, a stage prop, a performance for the crowd. But rebellion is not a toy. When you call on demons, they don't come to entertain, they come to collect. He wanted power, fame, money, validation. The world offered him the microphone, and he screamed into it. But the echoes carried further than he thought, reaching into the pit. The pit answered back. The moment he dressed rebellion as a performance, the door cracked. The demons didn't see a joke, they saw an invitation. They saw someone willing to bend. They saw someone who thought he was in control. He called them in. Maybe not with incense, not with ritual candle, but with energy, with intention, with word, with visual. That were more than prop. All the legions took him serious. We are living in spiritual warfare. Okay? We have to be careful what we summon. We have to be careful what we say. Our words carry weight. What we think, especially if we have intention behind it, will become reality. The devil doesn't play with metaphor. When you invoke him on stage, he doesn't see performance as art. He see it as obedience. We had this young man that was doing something extremely dangerous, reckless, and grotesque when it came to spirituality. This young man had a spirit of error on him where there was some kind of confusion. One minute he's saying he is this way, sexuality. One minute he's saying he's not. Next minute he's saying he is. And also, we have this young man clearly dancing on a pole. Literally have a pole, a stripper pole, sliding up and down the stripper pole, um, dancing in very sexual, subjective ways, and dressing himself up as an infernal realm entity. And I don't think he understood what he was dressing himself at. Literally putting on the costume of an infernal realm. Okay? Didn't realize that. Now, the infernal realm, some people like to refer to as hell. No, we live in an ecosystem where there are many layers of dimensions underneath us, many layers of dimensions above us, okay? And then also we have the fermentation around us, which some people call the dome to keep everything locked in here, okay? So you had this young man that was doing this. At first, the demons gave him what he wanted. Of course, they always do. And what is it that he wanted? He wanted fame. He wanted attention. He wanted headlines. And we saw he got the fame. We saw he got the attention. Out of nowhere, we all heard his name. We saw the headlines. He thought he was in charge, pulling string. But demons don't work for free. Their gifts always come with a bill. What have we been seeing lately with him? We've been seeing he was arrested. He was caught running out there with his underwear, doing all kind of things, like literally, like out of his rabbit little mind. Okay, this is the tormenting of these entities from the infernal realm. They don't give this stuff for free. Once I started really getting into spirituality, I really started getting into spirituality because a lot of things I was seeing was not making sense to me. You know, things was just not adding up. Why people were the way they were, while the world was moving the way it was. Okay. And I started to really horn into what's called principalities, what's called, some people like to call them demons, what some people are coining angels, what some people are coining entity, elementals, what people are coining all kind of names for them. You have the so-called archons. People talk about them. People are talking about the Palladians. People are talking about this and that. it's kind of funny that people are talking as if there is a federation of aliens, just like we have the United Nations. There are people talking about the Galactic Federation. I'm like, oh, sheesh. Now you could definitely tell that it's a concept from our dimension, because we have a United Nations, so I guess they have a United Galactic Federation too. And if we're going with that thought pattern, do they treat people the same way that the one we know? We know what the United Nations do here in this dimension. Is that the same thing the Galactic Federation doing? Are they selecting what planet will live, and what planet won't, what dimension will be here, and what dimension won't? What exactly are they doing? So that right there, that's a food for thought. So they crowned him Prince of Spectacle. That was all. The spectacle was made of him. You know, Here this was, this tall, gorgeous black male that had the spirit of confusion on him, okay, who was dancing on a stripper pole like a female, that was wearing some outlandish, ridiculous outfit, calling for attention, okay, which he shouldn't have been doing that, okay. He was just wearing some outrageous things. It was just ridiculous. But keep in mind, every crown forged in hell, I would say the infernal realms, burned the head that wears it. The weight crushed him, even as the world cheered. He danced, he laughed, he mocked. And if you pay attention, when he first came, that's all he was doing. He was dancing, he was laughing, he was mocking. He had a little episode where he was dropping a drop of his blood inside of a tennis shoe. And I was like, okay, that's blood magic. Do you know what that is? Who's telling you to do this? And what else did you do over there, buddy? You got to be careful. You're playing a very dangerous game. You're going down a wrong avenue here. And I don't think you know what you need to know, what you should know, what you ought to know for what you're doing over there. But late at night, when the crowd went home, the legions, they stayed. The shadow never left the room. What he summoned wasn't symbolic, it was literal. He opened himself up to legions, and legions enter. He became the stage, not just the performer. When they came for him, he wasn't happy because the joke had ended. The price had arrived. He summoned them, but now they own him. You had to see him summoning them. This guy had a video where he reenacted the Adam and Eve story. And in the Adam and Eve story, he was Adam, it was Adam and Steve. Right there, you could tell. That's the spirit of error. Not only that, that also show that he wants to be shocking. And he also played the snake part. And he was there with the serpent uh tongue locking, whatever it is he was doing over there. And he was basically saying that he is that. And I'm sure at that time when he was saying that, I'm sure those things from the infernal room took notice. See, this is the thing. Once they take notice, they don't stop taking notice. They will come to you. His song became less his, more theirs. His image less about freedom, more about change, disguise, his glitter, his body, his mind, his soul, all collateral for the pack he thought was just play acting. And we could tell. We had this young man, he went to the Met Gala. He was just wearing some outlandish thing. As time went on, it got more outlandish. It was just it was just out of mind. You could definitely tell something was taking over his wardrobe. You can tell something was taking over his creativity. There was some level of possession going on over there. But keep in mind, he invited it because he wanted fame, he wanted money, he wanted success so damn much. Keep in mind, those entities from the infernal realm, they don't care about his happiness. They don't care about his energy, his influence, his reach. Okay? What they care about is that millions watch him. And through him, millions are touched by their presence. He thought he was just breaking rules. He thought he was shocking the system. But the truth, he was feeding it. He became another puppet in a century-old game of spiritual enslavement. What we were watching was spiritual enslavement in real time with Lil Nas X. Okay, we were watching it in real time, but most people who do not have the spiritual eyes, who do not have the gift of discerning, could not understand what they were looking at. But a lot of us that do, a lot of us that have been working on stuff, a lot of us that's been working on spirituality, we knew what we were seeing, and we didn't like the path he was on. Okay, this is the tragedy. He wanted freedom, but he shackled himself up. How can you want freedom and enlightenment and all this, and then you over there call yourself dancing on an entity? Most people like to call them demons from the infernal realm, a particular color shade to it. Okay. Do you know the color scheme that you use? Do you know what exactly what entity within the infernal realm used that color scheme? You had a particular look for it too. You had a particular look for it, you had a particular appearance for it, you had a particular dress code for it. What exactly were they making you bump and grind on? That's the real question. See, he wanted power, but he gave it away. He wanted to be untouchable, but he made himself a vessel. We were watching the vestification of him by himself. Okay. Um, the demons don't care about consent. Once you summon them, they only care that you open the door. And once open, the doors are not easily shut. That is what we realized this young man did. This young man ripped the goddamn door open. He didn't crack the door open. He ripped the whole damn thing from the frame. I don't think he wanted to shut the door. He could. I'm telling you, like wherever his door frame, he ripped the frame. He ripped the door. Um, I don't think that door can. You would have to get a new frame. You know, and you would have to get new padlocks and stuff like that because he just ripped the whole thing. I think he may have ripped the whole damn door and let him in. Okay, which is really very much a tragic. The performance ended, the light faded, but the spirit stayed. The price is eternal, while the fame is temporary. The fame is always temporary for them. Okay, but those things, those it that they summon, those things stay with them and don't go no damn where now. No, they don't, and it torments them. And then we can start seeing things that don't add up. We will see that people are spending, whoa, people are spending 50, 60, 70 years on the road. It's obvious there was some kind of contract made, but a lot of people want to act like it's not. People spend 80, 90 years on the road. People are hopping from stage to stage. And you understand, I was given a breakdown that if a stadium holds about 25, 30,000 people and stuff like that, even if it's at half capacity, first of all, like, do you realize how many millions were made here based on the price tag? If you imagine this stuff at full capacity, what's made them? Okay. Now imagine you have a being that's all they do is stay on tour. Imagine that. How much money is made in that year? They literally live out of a suitcase. So you have a being that literally live out of a suitcase. Who is all this money being made for? Because realistically, the person's not really home to sleep to enjoy their beautiful home. The person's always on the road. Who's collecting all this money? Is it money that's being collected? Because the federal, I don't think they care about money, really, to be honest with you. You know. So what exactly is being done here? Who's enjoying this money in this dimension? What it is a real time spiritual enslavement. Just like in a good old day where it was chains and shackles. Now we have invisible chains and shackles. We have beings that are fully enslaved that people cannot say the chain and shackle on them because what they are, they're literally on stage with microphones singing and dancing and doing all these things we think that's cute and got all this sorcery going on in their face, which is the makeup and all this stuff, you know, and we are cheering it on and we don't realize that being is compromised up there. The older I get, the brighter the light is on people. People need to look at how compromised those beings that sit on these hot burning lights are. They are really compromised in real time, you know. So he wanted to climb the stage, own the crowd, but he ended up crawling at the feet of the legions. A tragic exchange. That's the warning. Don't summon what you cannot dismiss. Don't call legions you cannot command. They will not serve you, they will consume you. That's what happened to Lil Nas X. He thought he was in control, but when they came, he wasn't happy. That's why this should never, ever, 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 ever be done. You know, and we all saw it in real time. This, I guess he's facing 4 years in jail. I was like, poor thing. And then we saw when all of this was going on, as his star started to shine, his mom was running the streets. She was strung out. It was like literally his house was extremely dysfunctional, and that just let us know it's a dysfunctional being that just wanted to be loved and wanted to be loved. You know, this is the tragic story of a lot of outcasts. You know, a lot of people that are out here in the winds. You know, they make some decisions that unfortunately there's no coming back from some of these decisions. If they don't really have a good sense of self, they can never come back. So if you don't really have a good sense of self, you can't really come out of it. And if you don't really have good people around you to love on you and to nurture you, I think that what this poor thing needed was love, needed to be loved on, knew they had really good role models around. I think he was just left to his own devices. And this is what happened. It's a very unfortunate story. I clearly saw the part because we all live in everything is spiritual, people. Everything you see is spiritual. This poor thing was summoning entities, and I don't think he realized he was doing it. Though those stuff is looking hella realistic because the reason it was looking hella realistic because those are actual entities that's tied to those things. Now, the ones around him that took advantage of him, which we know that's a very dirty, 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 dirty industry. They knew what they were having this poor guy summon. He didn't know. He just thought this was all fun. And what happened? It looked like he may have had a few entities in human forms around him, giving him more advice, like helping him down that path, that rabbit hole he was on, pretty much dragging him all the way down there. You know, so this is a real cautionary tale, people. Do not summon them, okay? You be careful what you summon here. As above, so below, okay? As an invisible, so as in the invisible, okay? What's in the outer field, so in the inner field, in the inner field. It's frequencies, energies, vibration. There's a lot of things we have to learn here. Now, when it comes to spirituality, you do have to bite from every place for you to get a good cohesive thing. Okay. So what I want to say here, please, please be mindful. Do not compromise yourself because you want something so goddamn bad that you compromise yourself. And levels that you cannot uncompromise yourself. Okay. Please keep in mind, don't do it. It's not worth it. These people are doing all this for temporary fame. It's not even long-term fame. That's the crazy thing about it. Everything fades. But the world of damage and hurt they've done to themselves, it surpasses understanding. So, what I want to do here, I want to thank you so much for listening to Luco T Podcast. My name is Manushka Jessica. I'm the host of Luco T Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for subscribing. I want to thank all those that have and all those that will subscribe. Please like and subscribe. And please definitely leave a comment, drop a line or two. You know, y'all be careful out here, man. We're living in an extreme spiritual time, man. Y'all be careful out here. And above all, remember to be good to yourself and be good to others. Bye.